Suppose something goes wrong in your office. Perhaps you think it was due to a particular colleague's fault. You could holler up, lose your temper, and fire her. Your blood pressure is likely to rise. The office atmosphere will be messed up. The after effects of your rage will probably be felt by you and your fellow workers for days and weeks after the incident. You will probably have to work particularly hard at restoring the peace and re-establishing a situation of mutual trust. There is another choice. You could simply see the situation the way it is and take responsibility for it. Taking responsibility is not accepting blame instead of assigning it. It simply means consciously responding to the situation. Once you take responsibility, you will start exploring ways to address the situation. You will look for solutions. Only if you realize you are responsible, then you have the freedom to create yourself the way you want to be, not as a reaction to the situations in which you exist. People often confuse responsibility with reaction. There is a world of difference between the two. Responsibility is born in awareness, reaction in unawareness. Reactivity is enslavement, responsibility is freedom. Now let's talk about the three major emotions in human life and how to respond to them instead of reacting to them. The first emotion, anger. Anger usually provokes unintelligent action. If you look at your life closely, you will find that you have done the most idiotic and life-negative things when you are angry. I am not telling you that you should not lose your temper because it is ethically wrong. If anger is a pleasant experience, blow your top. What's the problem? The point is, it is singularly unpleasant for you and for those at the receiving end. The point is that anger is rooted in your false perception that you can change the situation by losing your temper with it. But your life experience tells you that the reverse is true, that you can never change any situation for the better by forsaking your sense and intelligence. You only mess up your situation by getting angry. Once you see that clearly, you have taken the first step toward change. Besides, there is substantial medical and scientific evidence to prove that in a state of anger, you are literally poisoning your system. This can be verified with something as simple as a blood test. When you are angry, your very chemistry is altered and your system turns toxic. Intense activity and sleep are times when this chemical mess can undo itself. But if you are in frequent states of rage, you are heading toward physical and psychological disaster. There is no doubt about this. The second emotion, complaining. Human beings are in an endless state of complaint. Ask someone, why are you in this situation? And then comes the response. You know, when I was a child, my parents. The same old story with just a few variations. What most people forget is that the past exists within each one of us only as memory. Memory has no objective existence. It is not existential. It is purely psychological. If you retain your ability to respond, your memory of the past will become an empowering process. But if you are in a compulsive cycle of reactivity, memory distorts your perception of the present and your thoughts, emotions and actions become not appropriate to the stimulus. The choice is always before you, to respond consciously to the present or to react compulsively to it. There is a vast difference between the two, and it can make the world of a difference. If terrible things have happened to you, you ought to have grown wise. But instead of growing wise, most people become wounded. There were two boys who had a father who was an alcoholic. They grew into young men. One son became an alcoholic. He said, "What choice do I have? My father is an alcoholic." The other son never touched a drop of alcohol. He said, "How could I? Look what it did to my father." So it is possible to transform the greatest adversity into a stepping stone for a personal growth. If you take 100% responsibility for the way you are now, a brighter tomorrow is a possibility. But if you take no responsibility for the present, if you blame your parents, your friend, your husband, your girlfriend, your colleagues for the way you are, you have forsaken your future even before it comes. The third emotion, love. Love has nothing to do with someone else. It is all about you. It essentially means you have brought sweetness into your emotion. If a loved one travels to another country, would you still be able to love them? You would. If a loved one passed away, would you still be able to love them? You would. Even if a loved one is not physically with you anymore, you are still capable of being loving. So what is love then? It is just your own quality. You are only using the other person as a key to open up what is already within you. Why are you fumbling with keys when there is no lock, when there is no door, when there is no wall? You create illusory walls and doors and then create illusory keys and then you fumble with the keys. And once you find the key, you are terrified of losing it. For most people, love is initially a joy, but after a while, it becomes an anxiety. Why? Because this key has legs and a will of its own. You can keep it in your pocket or hang it around your neck. When you try to do that, two lives are heading straight for disaster. Once your joy is on self-start rather than push-start, you have upgraded your technology. You are no longer enslaved to an external source, whether a person or a situation. You are now capable of being loving and blissful without doing anything in particular, just sitting here no matter how anyone in the outside world behaves. Once you experience this inner freedom, you will never experience insecurity in your life again. This is the third video of the series providing you in-depth summary of the book Inner Engineering by Sadhguru. If you want, you can buy the book by following the link given below in the description. And do share this video with your friends so that they can also get inspired with the help of you. Next video is on the next Sunday. Thanks for watching. More wisdom, more solution, better life.